Hi guys, and welcome to Magic. So in this video, I'm going to show you a new feature that we released a couple of days ago, which is called the SQL Database Designer. You go to Tools, you go to SQL Studio, and then you can actually have a look at it down here. Now, we've upgraded all existing cloudlets. In addition to that, when you create a new cloudlet at the iSTAS Hub, then you automatically get this. There's a link in the description of this YouTube video if you haven't already registered, allowing you to register for free and play around with this. So at this point, you can actually create a new database. Let's create a new database, call it CRM. So I've now created a new database. It's an SQLite database, but I can choose MySQL and PostgreSQL, of course. If I have an existing MySQL or PostgreSQL database, I can also choose SQL Server. However, for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to use SQLite, and then I'm going to add a new table to it. Let's call it accounts. Okay, so I want the primary key to be of type auto increment, and I want it to have the name of accounts underscore ID. So I've now created a primary key for my table. I can now start adding fields to it. Let's call this field customer name, data type, text, not nullable, create. Let's create another one called address, data type, text. I can tolerate null for this one. So you can see here, if the field is not null, it's under, it's striked and underlined. If it tolerates null, it's not underlined. Then I can delete fields if I want to, and I can create other tables. Let's create another table and call it contacts, primary key, auto increment int, but I could have chosen another one if I wanted to. So let's call the next field first name, data type text, not nullable, create. Let's create another field called last name, data type text, not nullable, create, and then let's create a field that actually is a foreign key leading into accounts table. And then let's make this data type integer, not auto increment. No default value points to table accounts and field account ID. And let's make this not nullable. And I now have a foreign key. So I have a one-to-many relationship between accounts and contacts, and I can browse around in it. So if you look at a more complex database, if you go to plugins, for instance, and you install the Chinook database, it takes some time. Then when it is done, if you go back to SQL Studio and you choose the Chinook database, you can actually see here the richness of the database designer. And you can even click on foreign keys, allowing you to hop around in your schema or your DDL to see the table where, okay, album ID here is a field in track. It leads to the table called album, and it's a field called album ID, etc. So this allows you to easily hop around, and of course you can delete fields, and you can delete entire tables if you want to. Now, when you're done with your own database, then you can actually click here and export database DDL. This exports the entirety of the DDL data definition language. It's probably better to look at it in the Chinook because then you see the richness of it. And you see how you actually get the entirety of the DDL SQL required for actually recreating this database. So this actually allows you to easily create a module and export your DDL SQL to that module. Let me just first, before I actually do that, go into HyperID and expand modules folder. So as you can see here, I have SQL Chinook and I have Hub and I have Magic, but I don't have CRM here. So if I now go back to SQL Studio, I choose my CRM database and I choose export database to DDL and I click export to module. What this actually does, it actually creates a new module for me, which has the name of CRM. And inside of this module, it has a magic.startup folder, which of course executes all Hyperlambda files within it automatically as the module is installed. and or the server process restarts. And here you can actually see that this one invokes the signal ensure database, which actually invokes this SQL script unless the database already exists. And this will actually recreate my database. So I can now actually download this entire folder. I can upload it into production or whatever, and boom, I have reproduced this database. Now, at this point, you might have an existing system that you've already put into production, at which point you're going to need migrate scripts as you add fields and new tables to your existing database. Well, that's actually as easy as choosing this guy and auto-migrate. Literally, that's it. If I now create a new table, add table, and I call it address, name of primary key, auto increment, blah, blah, and I create a new field in that table, zip codes, right? Data type, text, not null, create, and etc. Now, if I now go back to HyperID, then actually what Magic does 100% automatically for me, it actually creates DB migrations for me. Here's the first migration script that actually ensures that the table address is created. Here's the second migration script that actually modifies the table and ensures that the zip code field is added to that table. And actually Magic will just 100% automatically take care of everything in regards to this, as long as you remember to actually turn on migrate, auto migrate here on your visual designer as you add fields and changes the database in any ways whatsoever. So, and of course at this point, I mean, now I'm done. I can go to the CRUD generator. I can, choose this database, and I can, CRUDify all tables, and I got the HTTP REST Web API endpoints wrapping every single table in CRM. Now here we can see counts get. Okay, if you invoke it, obviously there's no data in it. So let's create an account. Account post, customer name, Okma Inc., address, howdy world 22 or whatever. Right now, if I now go back to the get endpoint and retrieve, I get Okma Inc. So anyways, that was it for today's video. Yet again, there's a link in the description of this YouTube video if you want to sign up for a free cloudlet to play around with this. We only provide SQLite out of the box, but if you have an existing database somewhere, you can actually go to the dashboard. You can get the IP address of the backend that's actually running it in case you need to whitelist that IP address on your web-facing database. And then you can go to management, you can go to configuration, and you can add a connection string here. Just remember that you must have this part in your database connection string as the database catalog name. And of course, you can add database types of MSSQL, MySQL, and PGSQL. MSSQL being SQL Server, MySQL being MySQL, and PGSQL being PostgreSQL. And then you have to give your connection string a unique name. So anyways, yet again, there's a link in the description of this YouTube video to where you can actually sign up for a free cloudlet to play with this if you wish. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.